Welcome back, Adam, my trading warrior brother, journalist,
Good,
news
good to be here.
trader.
Good to be here. Can you hear me? You got me?
Yeah, got you, Adam. Great to have you back. So we haven't talked in a while. Big red wave here in the U.S. First of all, I want to acknowledge you were very bearish Canada, therefore very bullish USDCAD the last few times, maybe even a year, 6 months or longer. You've been looking for higher USD CAD. And that was a great call. It was one of the best performing currency trades out there in the last quarter. So nice
Well,
work.
I'm not happy to report on that, being a Canadian here, but yeah, it's a mess here.
Okay. So big themes that you're looking at. I mean, as we come to year end, I could share my screen and like we usually do, bro.
Yeah, sure, sure.
And we could cover a few things. First of all, what did you think of yesterday's sell-off after the Fed in risk?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one. I mean, we're really pointing to the Fed, right? I mean, it's got to be the Fed. You've moved up rates, 10, 15 sort of basis points, right? Compared to what was priced in. And then even if you look out at the dots, you took out a cut in 2026, but 2027 at the same level. So it's a pretty incredible reaction. If you listen to Powell, there's the dual mandate, right? Inflation
Yeah,
and jobs. And he tilted it a little bit back towards inflation again, said they need to
yeah.
get inflation down. And then he had that kind of, I guess it'll be a famous line was it kind of fell apart, like their inflation forecast kind of fell apart, he said, which
Wow.
isn't the sort of thing you want to hear.
To say.
Bit of a miscommunication, I would say there.
Well, you know the old expression, you don't have to say everything you think.
Yeah, he could have put that a
I
little
think
bit
that's
more.
what happened to him, man. The cat came out of the bag the wrong way.
That's it. It did. There was a bit of an own goal there. But it's still Powell, and they're still going to cut more if things disappoint. I think inflation will come down. It is still housing services. Jobless claims. It would have been something today if they would have gone up to 260 or something like that. That would have
Okay.
really got the jobs mandate back going. And I think you do still have a Fed put there. But you have to watch inflation. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what those January, February inflation numbers look like. It's coming down everywhere else. I'm pretty sure it'll come down in the US, but not right now. I mean, the dollar's cooking. And then I think the thing that people overlooked yesterday, it wasn't just um, the Fed decision that was ongoing. Congress was trying to avoid a shutdown.
Okay, that was part of it, you think, Adam?
I believe it is. And for me, you're looking at Trump, right? He has four priorities: GDP growth, improving the fiscal deficit, the trade deficit, and keeping the stock market high. Now, in a lot of ways, those goals are incompatible.
Right.
And so you look at him and you say, okay, which guy or which of those priorities, what's the hierarchy of those priorities?
They'll
And I think,
change all the time.
well, yeah, but I mean, at the core, and
All
they and
right.
I think you're right about that in how he'll react next.
Yeah.
But I think the market had pegged it. Well, he cares most about the stock market. He was at the New York Stock Exchange there,
Yeah.
really right at the top, and people were thinking, well, stocks are going to be number one. But then yesterday, you have Elon Musk really in his ear right now, and Elon trying to kill that bill, and then Elon did kill it, it seems. And Elon doesn't, care maybe about the stock market as much as I'm sure he cares about his own stock, but he's on a little kick right now to cut spending. And he seems to have Trump's ear, and now they killed this, and how we miscalculated. And so not just killing the bill itself, but the idea that Trump might be more of a fiscal hawk than we thought. And if the fiscal deficit is at the top of that hierarchy of priorities, well, then you kind of have to put the stock market at the bottom.
That's right. So let me ask you, do you think I was saying that everyone universally embraced that the market was fine until year end or next year. Even the bears weren't short. And that was all one way, you know, for taking profits. I could just wait till January. Maybe they'll still be right because, I've had great signals being negated, especially in S&Ps. But do you think that we could get rolling to the downside if we do have a shutdown? That and the bonds act pretty ugly too, even though there's been a huge short position in there forever. They look like they're breaking down.
Well, I don't like the look of bonds, and I think we should talk about that. But again, I think okay, the shutdown is the shutdown, but the question I'm really weighing are the fiscal hawks in control here? And if they are, it's a whole different world. It's a problematic world for a lot of assets. But then you look at bonds, and I was surprised that long dated bonds sold off. I mean, hawkish Fed. I know they
Right.
cut, but the cut had to have been priced in. But
Yeah.
hawkish Fed, worried more about inflation. You should think the long end would rally, especially with
Right.
stocks getting crushed.
Yeah.
And
That's what I mean.
bonds sold off, and they're selling off again today.
Yeah.
And a fiscally hawkish Congress too, which should also be good for bonds. So, and
And
then
the move
you look at
index,
the
move in.
chart,
Yeah.
you
Go
look
ahead.
at yields, like 10-year yields, 5-year yields have broken out the November highs anyway, not the year highs. Tens are
There's the
breaking out
10.
today.
Yeah. They
And
want that
that
5% again.
now it's year end. Year end though is usually good for bonds. So there could be something there, but Japan might be selling a lot of play. Brazil's obviously selling to prop up the currency. So there's a lot of currency dynamics that may be in place there. And I hate to call it like as in we're selling bonds on a bad stock market and a hawkish Fed.
Yeah.
Like that's an incompatible kind of dynamic.
Do you really understand the move index? Because I want to talk about that because a lot of people are saying that was a reason for buying bonds because when they were uh, selling off the move index, look at it's near the lows, which is saying no stress, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like complacency, You- which
Well,
to me
it's
is,
the kind of signal everywhere. I mean, you touched on it. I mean, I'm sure you saw some of the same things we did that um, people thought stocks were going to go higher. That it was a very crowded trade. Everybody was long. The consumer confidence data showing the ratio of people expecting stocks to be higher was records. Bank of America and the fund manager survey saying cash holdings were the lowest since 2002. Bonds were hated. I mean,
yeah,
um, David
everyone's
Rosenberg
in,
capitulating,
yeah, everyone's in the pool.
and
And,
yeah,
and it's going to take more than one day to get them out, even if we get a new high. You're not going to, uh, you know, uh, I don't care how long you want to call this a bull market, a 40-year or take it to COVID, 3-year bull market. It's not going to just be one down day evens up positioning because everyone's long stocks through the gill.
well, that's it. And if we find out that the fiscal deficit and the trade deficit are Trump's real priorities, at least in year one, then we get tariffs on everyone. We
Yeah,
get the Congress cutting spending way more than anyone thought.
yeah.
And how can that look good for the market?
Austerity. Let me ask you when you're talking about this, Adam, because I've had like a 109, 110 target in Dixie. It's coming off today. Um, what are you thinking dollar wise here?
Well, I actually we usually put on the video, so I got this all-time high shirt on, it says.
Oh,
Can
okay.
imagine it. But I don't know if you could ever really call it like an all-time high. I don't really love the Dixie, but it's
Usually
headed
like
higher.
120.
I mean, it is again, I'm weighing these political dynamics right now, but the Bank of Japan held rates.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
and that's the big kicker here. The euro's a mess. I think we've
Yeah,
seen some energy developments in Europe that have been pretty brutal, and the automotive industry there is cooked, it looks like,
yeah,
at least
yeah,
globally.
yeah. So
Um,
you think we
yeah,
can take out this 114 level? 'Cause this
I see the
was
comment coming across Trump doesn't care about the deficit. Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree. I mean, that's the baseline that everyone has, though. So I guess
yeah,
I just don't know how much you have a little bit less conviction now. And then, yeah, the dollar index. I mean, you got to think. The euro's so hated. That's the only thing you worry about the euro. I mean, all the
Right.
fundamentals are terrible. The ECB doesn't know what it's doing. Regulation's a mess. Cohesiveness is a mess. Politics are a mess. You can't point
I
to
was thinking,
anything
I was
except
thinking of
it's,
trying it down here around 102
well, yeah,
for that reason, and it's very
it's
underowned.
it's just hated. It's
Hate it.
truly hated. I don't think I see anybody saying
And
buy
it,
the euro at any point.
how about cables, say another 300 pips lower, say like, in here,
Yeah, the BOE
23.
was a bit more dovish than people thought with 3 cents today. I'm I was over there just a couple weeks ago. I
Oh yeah,
couldn't
yeah,
get
the
over it.
show.
A pint is like 8 or 10 pounds now, which is like
Wow.
16, 18 Canadian dollars. And
Yeah, you got killed.
the prices over there were, I mean, like, I think 40,000 pounds is still like an okay wage over there. And if you're paying 10
If you don't
pounds,
drink.
well, yeah, they all drink. But the price is like you go to toy stores, shop for the kid.
Yeah.
It I don't know. That's not really scientific, but they do seem to have more of an inflation problem there than elsewhere, and that's kind of what the Bank of England's been saying, right?
Yeah.
Um, but eventually, that economy is not in great shape, and I don't think labor's helping, so they'll have to cut. So that could be one where the dam bursts a little bit later.
Okay. And what about the metals? They've been under pressure. Silver really can't get out of its own way. I was thinking, 27-ish on
Yeah, well,
silver.
seasonally very strong for gold and silver. For this period, the People's Bank of China is back buying gold, and I think
Yeah.
that's the most important news over the last 2 weeks. India did. I don't know if you saw that story yesterday. There was a report on record gold
Yeah.
imports, and then it
Yeah.
said they miscalculated, and it
Yeah.
wasn't. So that hurt gold to start yesterday, and then of course the Fed delivered the coup de grace.
Yeah. Gold
Uh,
silver ratio still looks higher. So gold, today's a perfect example of how things have been going. Gold up 15, silver down
oh,
14
yeah,
cents. I
yeah.
mean, I think this has follow through into the 90s.
I mean,
So,
Asia came and bought pretty good yesterday in gold, although it's fading here now, and
yeah, fading really
almost
nice.
everything's selling off. Though, I mean, it'll be a big test for stocks. Futures still up 43 points on
Yeah,
SPY
they're stiff. They're not giving it back like gold and
and
currencies.
bonds.
But
Well, I mean, with bonds and gold and the
all
dollar.
I know, Adam, that is
uh,
this is a rising wedge within a megaphone. This is the S&Ps. And whether we can make a new marginal high or not, I don't know. We've had weekly divergence for since July. Okay, the biggest confirmed all the way back here. It's like a three drive to me, up, and a megaphone off these two lows. And Elliott wave, you could go to wave four of lesser degree on a correction. That's here. So I'm thinking we could get a pretty good wash towards 5,000
Well,
in the
listen, like
next
I said,
month or
it
so.
is everybody's in the pool, like you said.
Yeah.
And I after year end, I worry about a lot of profit taking in like Mag 7, right? This is just at the start of last year we had it as well. Sort of it
Okay.
was like 5% moves right off the get-go because if you've got big capital gains, it's in your interest to wait till January to
Right.
sell.
Right. So they're
And
going to try and hold it together I think, for that reason. Otherwise, if they can't, people may not worry about paying taxes on because they won't have the
that's
gains.
that's a good problem to have.
That could, it's always a good problem to have. I had people in the .com bubble come to me and say, Dale, well, the I'm starting to give back all my profits. I said, well, then why don't you just get out? And they would say, well, I'd have a capital gains problem. I go, well, you should thank God. You know, I,
That's
uh, I, you made money, so you'd rather, and you know what they did? They didn't sell. and then they ended up having no cap. They had capital losses
That's it.
over, it's so crazy.
It's a tale as old as time. And I think people just look at it right now and say, well, I just need to hold on for 2 weeks. I mean, if I can get through
Yeah,
Friday, the market kind of is closed till January 2nd, really. Not a lot happens in that week, although it can.
it can. This
Um,
is when bear raids can happen.
and
Then, right?
but I think to buy puts through the turn of the year is on some of the highest flyers is a pretty compelling trade. Um,
Okay, interesting. You
and
like Nvidia, maybe?
Well, yeah, any of the find all the highest
That,
flyers. I mean,
yeah,
Tesla's pretty, you're sitting on some
yeah.
pretty fat capital gains there. And the temptation, you're up 70% since the election is, well, just wait another, 2 weeks. And so that's where, all right, let's get into China here if you're tuned up
All right. Well,
copper.
I am. This is copper. This looks ugly.
This
I
is the
know you're a
China trade,
long-term
right?
bull. Yeah, it
If
looks
you
ugly.
overlay like the MCHI ETF on that or Chinese stocks, it's the same chart.
Okay.
And you
Yeah,
popped up and now it's fading. And
yeah.
China, there's a lot of talk again. And
Tariffs. They're going to let the yuan go, and that was one of your biggest fears last year.
yeah,
And it's going to happen this year.
well, it's a pretty
Coming.
strong lever. And they're talking about doing that with the euro too. That even the ECB is saying that. Okay, not that they're going to do it intentionally in the same way, but all right, tariffs go up, euro goes down. Well, we're
Yeah,
still fine on trade. And
yeah.
the laws of economics are pretty tough to break, and it's the same as Trump's priorities. It's tough to square them. But China, it needs to stimulate, right? And I think there is a
They
little bit
haven't they
more
been
urgency.
trying? Haven't they
Well,
been
like
tr
it's very like with real estate, they're saying, well, we're gonna have the government buy up some of the real estate.
They need
And then
to
on
demolish
consumer,
it like they have before. They need to demolish it.
well,
They should have their ally Putin come and
it's
bomb a few cities in China where they
he might
can't
have a
sell the
war.
property. Yeah, FXI looks just like it, and this doesn't look good to me
It's
either.
like the euro, though. It's hated, right? It's hated. It's cheap.
Yeah,
It's
it's hated.
under-owned. I mean, China is still doing some amazing things. I have to remind myself of this sometime. I mean, they've built incredible cities there. They've
Yeah,
created an unbelievable amount of wealth.
yeah.
Um, and they are progressing. And that is compelling. I mean, they're winning global automotive. I mean, I think they might wipe out auto exports to every country that lets them in from anywhere else. I mean, these
Yeah,
electric
because
cars they're
they're so
building,
much cheaper.
$10,000, $20,000, pretty impressive electric car. I mean, there's a huge market for that. I mean, they're going to swamp Australia, I think. That's a good spot to watch on auto exports, at least in terms. And then there might be pressure in a place like Canada
Well,
or.
then we have to be looking to buy the Aussie pretty soon here. It's getting pretty cheap. You have a view on
Well, it's a
do you
it's a trade on China. I mean,
okay.
it's not looking good right now. You're
No,
near
right.
you broke the lows yesterday,
Yeah.
and you might break
Going
the
back to
2002 lows now. So that's holding right now, but you broke it yesterday at 2023 lows.
yeah.
Uh, Look at that chart. I mean, it's not, I wouldn't sell it after how many weeks is that? About
I
eight
think
out
I'll
of the last
try.
10?
So let it go to 60 and buy it back above 62 when it's recaptured. I think there's a big trade coming here. Let me
Yeah.
see. Let me see. Yeah. All right.
And then economic data,
Take
like
this
how
out
strong is
first.
the US is a question. I mean, it looks pretty strong here, but I think I was pricing in or expecting a little more optimism coming out of the election. You get the Philly Fed today. Geez,
Well,
that ain't
we,
great. It doesn't look like a
yeah,
lot of investment.
yeah.
Uh, Retail sales, like it's early. It's very, very early. But let's see what earnings look like in Q4 and what the retailers are saying about spending and um, that housing is looking rough for next year in the US. And I've been a big bull,
Yeah,
and
you
part of
have
that was
been.
rates coming down. But if rates stay here, it's not great. And
You should
homeowners,
have on or talk to if you really want, and she's been on top of this housing story. She does your kind of research, boots on the ground. Melody Wright.
I'm writing it down.
Okay. She's got a great story of what she lived through in the '08 and what she's seeing coming now. Be good content for your. I've
I
interviewed her a few times.
good. I'll check it into it. The
All
rates
right,
is
buddy.
it's a problem for housing.
Yeah. Oh,
I don't know. I don't know
yeah.
how we're gonna get housing going because if you look at since the election, home builders have been a
Yeah.
big loser, and they're gonna have a tough
Yeah.
day again today.
Yeah. That's what I mean. There are cracks in the market, and it's not just the home builders. How about the industrials? This is an industrial ETF. It's been peaking for a few weeks now. Not everything peaks together. Look at that.
Brutal. Well, pull up steel stocks. Like if you pull up like
Well,
Steel Dynamics
here's
or
Freeport. I mean,
yeah,
the real economy stocks. Here's Lennar.
yeah, that's had a rough one yesterday.
Yeah,
Ooh, man.
DH Horton. Yeah, we're going to have a housing crisis again here in the U.S.
Well, it's an I don't think so,
I
but
don't know why, how it could happen with everyone being locked in their 3% 30-year mortgages, unless they're just over leveraged in other things or lose jobs.
yeah, the American consumer's in a pretty good spot. But there are
Yeah,
these pockets of weakness, and yeah, the layoffs might start again. I do think that
they're leveraged. The American consumer, except for the upper 10%, are leveraged up to the hilt with credit cards or pay later deals.
yeah, they're doing well.
Yeah. So
Those pay
what about
later.
oil? What about oil in
Well, I
2025? I
think,
mean, it was
Goldman had a really good report that I think is important on the macro side last week, and it talked about what happens at 70 you get down to the mid 60s and shale growth just stops. So if you kind of price out where oil is going to be, say you think $65 oil this year. Well, it means shale growth is going to be slightly negative and global, growth is going to be slightly negative. But anyway, the takeaway from the whole thing is that 70 acts as a floor. That shale producers there's a marginal cost is really there, and the balances are pretty tight. If you get up to 80, you get more oil coming in. But if you get below 70, eventually, like in time, so 70 is your sort of your long term floor. And
right.
it was a pretty compelling case. And then if you kind of price around, say, oil stocks at 70, I mean, there's some pretty good value there in a lot of names that
Oh
have
yeah,
good
I mean,
inventories.
yeah, all the oils have gotten crushed, like
Just
debt.
smoked, which it kind of speaks to some of the underlying dynamics as being
Look at
not quite
Devon. Look at Devon.
Exxon, even just smoked.
Yeah,
Um,
Devon. Look at that. Once it broke down from 38.
so
No,
there's a pretty strong signal about global growth weakness, right? So you need
sure
China to
is.
turn it on. You need Trump to make growth the priority. Probably
Tariffs
boot
are not
Elon out there.
growth policies, and it seems to be the only tool besides deregulation that's in his bag of
Yeah,
tricks.
and I think we'll find with Mexico and Canada here in pretty short order that it's just talk that the deal gets done. Um, I don't know. Trump probably hates Trudeau. Someone wants to talk about dollar CAD in the chat there. Trump, I think, hates Trudeau, and he'd like to put the screws to him. And Trudeau's on the way out anyway, and then he'll
Yeah,
claim a victory there. We're
yeah.
probably going to have an election in Canada called in late January, early February. I think the
Oh,
writing
okay.
is on the wall there, and that's a positive risk for CAD. The outcome of any election is preordained. The Conservatives will win. They'll win a majority and a strong mandate. And that, is obviously an opportunity to, I think Trump takes his win. You set things right. I don't know if you're going to have a big USMCA fight between Canada and the US. Mexico, they want to keep Chinese autos out of Mexico. So right now, like I said, these Chinese automakers are going to dominate and they're just going to build factories in Mexico. And then you're in the USMCA region and you can export them as much as you'd like to the US. But Trump just does not want to allow that. And so that's probably something. I mean, that's a tough one for Mexico because, again, a $20,000, $10,000 car is pretty compelling
Yeah.
for their domestic voters. I think Canada doesn't will go
Sell your
down with the
vacation
US.
rental here, Adam.
But I think ultimately they try to to get past that, then the market feels a bit better about tariffs. But it's going to be this yo-yo all the way through. Then he turns to
Oh yeah.
China, to Europe,
Did you
to.
like trading during President Trump's first term?
I mean, I remember going at the start of it. Everyone sat down and said, "Okay, we're going to figure this guy out, and we're going to find out how to make money off it." And then I don't think anyone ever did. The signal to the noise ratio. I guess the trade was
Yeah.
just ignore most of what he says.
Okay.
But that's
All right.
hard to do on
Yeah.
an intraday basis. So
Yeah. It's impossible.
I wouldn't say I enjoyed it. Um,
Okay.
Certainly
I'm
not
taking
enjoyed.
a poll.
But to
All right.
back to dollar
Well,
CAD, it's not looking great. It isn't looking great, and with rates going up here, Canadian housing very vulnerable. Now, Bank of Canada cutting, but with the Fed being more hawkish, it pushes up global rates, and that's what Canada's priced on as much as the Bank of Canada. I mean, it's gotten pretty far ahead of itself here now, but
yeah.
it's not a pretty picture, and we could get again a lot of charts look like we're in how many years have we been in a dollar bull market? I mean, you could say three at the minimum, but if you ignore a lot of COVID, it's longer than that.
Yeah.
And say we're in the seventh or eighth inning, you can get a real blow off, a real
Yeah.
blowout to end it. And
So
that,
give me the number that's in your head that you don't want to say because you'll sound crazy.
yeah, I mean, something like the euro is 95 cents, dollar
Oh,
CAD, 150.
yeah.
Um,
Okay.
and that kind of Aussie
Yen,
maybe
US
sub
dollar
60.
yen,
Yeah, back up to the
162.
highs.
Yeah. Okay. All
And
right.
and I think that there's a lot of ways that
That's
could
probably
happen.
like 110, at least.
And then I think at the core, Trump, America
Then
can
they'll
make a
get their
deal.
way. Yeah.
Well, they'll have to change course, or the stock market won't like that either. Um,
Yeah. What, a strong dollar? No, they want
Strong
a
dollar.
weak dollar. Yeah.
Exactly. So,
Well,
um,
that's what Trump wants too.
well,
And
and then if you
JD.
listen to the new Treasury Secretary, and that really went around a couple weeks ago or 3 weeks ago,
Yeah.
there's a path forward with some kind of like plaza accord, a broad weakening of the dollar in some way or another.
He
That
said that.
Well, he talked about he didn't say that, but if you read a lot of what he's writing about tariffs, he said people think it's going to boost the dollar. I think it's going to lower the dollar.
Huh,
And
okay.
if there's a policy of lowering the dollar, and because a lot of people would like it, right? You could get the whole world on board with a weaker dollar.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And that solves a lot of the Trump's problems, right? You get better GDP growth, at least nominally, right?
Right.
You get a higher stock market. You improve
Right.
the trade deficit. So that ticks off three
Right.
of those boxes. Doesn't do much for the fiscal deficit, but the growth obviously does. So that might be the ultimate grand bargain, but I think that's going to not be the first thing that happens next year. Um,
Right.
and that I think would be the playbook for 2020. Dollar weakness now, and then the top maybe in 2025, first half.
A top in the dollar weakness now,
No, dollar
or
strength now, and
yeah,
then
that's what. Right.
a
Right.
top
Okay.
later, and a pretty dramatic dollar strength maybe before that.
Yeah. Maybe it only takes first quarter and it's done.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see what happens with the tariffs in China and
Yeah.
everything else. And the stock market. I mean, listen, I think that sober Trump up pretty quick. Like you said, it dropped to 5,000.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do think at his core, his stock market is the number one priority.
It
And
is.
he might
I
need to be
know he's not
reminded of
going to.
that.
So you know that if we get down, it's basically the reason for 4,900 is wave four of lesser degree. And I have a lot of confluence. I have a megaphone line coming in there. I have some moving averages coming in there. So you could actually go to 4,900 and he could, Paul might really get busy and maybe some of Trump's stuff will start to work. Um, and then get a rally to the top of the megaphone that's going to be like down the road, 7,000.
Well, yeah, I mean, if the stock market goes to 5,000 or anywhere near, Powell's cutting again. I don't care what
Yeah,
the inflation numbers say.
yeah,
Um, So,
I
there's a lot that can go ahead. And it's the things to watch, right? It's the corporate tax cut, number one. So that there's a talk of waiting on that. Doing
oh yeah,
immigration first
yeah,
and permitting on energy. Doing those first. Maybe they play fiscal hawk for 6 months, right? Everybody pretends to be a
yeah.
fiscal hawk until, it's
It's
like
too
with Mike
painful.
Tyson, right? Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yeah.
Everybody's a fiscal hawk until the stock
He
market.
did he didn't have a plan when he walked into the room into the ring with that guy last time, a month
Yeah,
ago.
he didn't look good. He
His
didn't look
plan
great.
was to be able to stay on his feet until it was over. That
It
was his
didn't.
plan. And I
It
don't know,
wasn't.
anyway, that was
His
kind of
plan was to get
sad.
paid.
It
You
was
give him credit. He hyped it up. He hyped
uh,
it up like he was going
yeah,
to be 1990 Mike
yeah,
Tyson.
yeah. He had to show his ARP card to get in the ring.
It wasn't.
Anyway,
Hopefully, we can punch a little better than that
you
here.
know what, Adam? I'm confident. You and me have been through, a couple presidents already.
Well, listen,
Yeah,
unlike boxing, I think the market rewards wisdom, experience, and age.
yeah. So, we're gonna be fine. Let's uh, let's have a bonanza the next 4 years. How
I
about
think.
that?
I think we can catch the,
Do
momentum's
do
an
do do
incredible
do
thing.
do 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 do. That was a theme song from
We'll have a
Bonanza.
wonderful Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you and your family, bro. Really, Happy New Year, and I hope that Pips just chase you and all your people and subscribers and family, that they overtake you, and you
Oh,
won't know what you have all this overflow and peace.
well, I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed. The kids are healthy and the
Yeah,
family's good. So take
you're
it
a
one day
good
at a time.
you're a good friend, buddy. Adam
Well,
Button, everyone. You got to follow Adam, especially on news days, and you know where to find him at Forex Live. Go there, check it out. You have any new things happening for Forex
we
Live
got
this
big
year?
plans in the coming year, and I can't share them
Yeah.
just yet, but
Oh,
I'm
you're
very
like
excited about them.
Blake.
We're working. There's a
You,
lot of work to do even over
you,
the holidays here, so
you,
there'll be
you
no rest.
guys all have secrets, and us little guys, hosts
Oh,
and employees. We don't know. We're just kept in the dark. Is Santa just going to bring coal for traders that tried to get long to have their performance look good into year end, and and
piled into
now
the
they're
Mag 7, right?
yeah, yeah. Anyway, we'll see.
Big day today. We'll see how it goes.
All right, Adam Button, everyone. Thank you, brother.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
All right. All right, take it easy, Adam.
Bye.
So that's a wrap, everyone. Went a little over. You could join the team in 10 minutes on the morning edge. See everyone for TGIF Friday tomorrow. Uh, you know, Follow Adam at the minimum so you know what's on his mind and what he's thinking. Keep an open mind. It'll keep your account open. And if you haven't done it yet, um, here's your New Year's resolution. I'm going to become part of a community and serve it the best I can. Whether it's in your life, whether it's in trading, but I'm going to become part of something bigger than myself, which you are in face. So step it up. Don't just count your pips, count your blessings, and I'll see everyone tomorrow. Barry or the Jester? Okay. Uh, all right. Well, I've been looking to hire a court jester for days I get stopped out. Anyone use that court jester technique to? No, I don't do that, Barry. I just put on Seinfeld. That's my therapy. All right. God bless everyone. See ya.
Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with Forex Analytics. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like these videos, share them, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the content that we provide here for free. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video.